Before we start, we could just go through briefly what our outline is and what we intend to discuss today. So first of all, we'll be talking about what libertarianism is. Then we'll be talking about what you need to do when you write libertarian articles. Then when you want to publish it, then we're talking about sharing your work. Talk about collaboration and what to do when you get comments in the comment boxes. This is important usually because many times we get people responding to our articles and we want to know, it would be wise to know what we can say or do and how to respond to them. And the last part is when you want to start publishing. If I'm going too fast at any point in time, please raise your hand and stop me and type in your questions, and I would answer them. So what is libertarianism? We want to start from the non-aggression principle because that's where everything about libertarianism starts from. The non-aggression principle states that no human or group of humans may aggress against the person and property of anyone else. Now, we also, when we talk about libertarianism, we look at what is necessary for human survival. And hence, we look at the right to life, the right to liberty, and the right to property. Now, why are those three rights important? In fact, some would argue that those are the only rights that have any kind of meaning. They're important because these rights exist outside any government. So you're born and you have your right to life. You have your right to be free, hence liberty, and you have your right to own your property. So people come together and set up some kind of governing structure to defend those rights. That's why you also have the right to defend your life, to defend your liberty, and to defend your property. Hence, that's why we have governments. Therefore, the legitimate purpose of government is to defend our lives, our liberty, and our property. Everything else, the government is doing extra. Now, libertarians will tell you that all that extra is immoral, and the government should not do that. The government should only defend our lives, our liberty, and our property. Also, another important tenet of libertarianism is full consent, no force, and no fraud. So people essentially can do whatever they want as long as they do not commit force or fraud against others without their consent. And these are important, especially when you want to engage in libertarian ideas or apply libertarianism to real world scenarios. When you're writing libertarian articles, you want to make sure that your theory is strong. So your foundation, the foundation of your libertarian philosophy is strong. I recommend the book by Murray Rothbard, For a New Liberty. It's free online from the Mises Institute in the United States. You can get that. And Friedrich Bastiat, The Law. Also, because libertarians generally tend to be against, in fact, or against government intervention in our lives, in our liberty, and in our property without our permission. They tend to be against government intervention in the economy. For example, hence libertarians tend to know a lot more about economics than the average person. So you need to learn economics. It's quite important. I recommend 3 books here. Thomas Sowell's Basic Economics is great. It's a big book, 700 pages, and written in explicit language so you can understand it. It's not no jargon, no equations, no graphs, just day-to-day using real-life examples to explain economic principles. Henry Hazlitt's book is great. I would recommend reading Howard's book because that was written in very recently, and the language is a lot easier to understand, and it's a shorter and smaller book. Now, for a fact, to be a writer, we all hear people say this, to be a writer, you must be a reader. And this is important. A lot of people talk about writer's block, and I think the writer's block is is an overrated concept. If you can't think of anything to write, pick up a book and read. You will definitely have something to write after you read a book. So we now know our theory is strong. We've written our stuff. Now we want to publish. You can create your own website. Now this is important, and especially but to create your own website, you have to think about how much time you have on your hands. Now, if you're not a writer full time and you have a 9-to-5 job or you run a business, having your own website might be cumbersome to handle, because you will need to pay for it and you will need to manage it frequently so you can get the full value of your money from it. Another part of what you can do is to get a blog. Now you can use WordPress, Blogspot, or Medium. Now the blogs have become a little bit more sophisticated these days, so they're very you can do a lot now on a blog, right? And on Medium, the platform allows you, so you can be a paid user or you can get a free, and you can get a free account. And Medium also allows you to monetize your articles, which is important. A website allows you, the advantage of having a website is that every traffic you draw to that website, you can basically monetize your website. But blogs these days are allowing you to also monetize your articles on your blogs, especially Medium. Now, another thing you have to think about is how much time you have. Consistency is important, because you can draw a lot of traffic to your platform or to your website or to your blog, but you have to keep the traffic there. If not, people get disinterested and want to do something else or read something else. And so how often are you going to be publishing articles? Do you want to write articles out when you have time? Maybe write 20 articles and schedule them to be published over 20 weeks. That would be great. That's one way to do it. Also, writing frequently ensures that your theory and understanding of libertarian principles stay strong. And this is very, very useful, especially when you're dealing with real life events, because you get to go back to a book, you get to read more. If you are not sure about a concept, you can go back to the book and read it while writing. And also, writers are clear thinkers. There's someone, when people come to you and say, I have an idea, you tell them, put it in writing, let's see. Because when you write, you get to engage with your idea better. You get to assess your ideas and beliefs and get to see, is this actually coherent? Is this cogent or not? This is what the platform I created, Nigeropolis, on Medium looks like. Nigeropolis is basically a magazine that fights for the rights to life, liberty, and property of Nigerians, and also of Africans in general. Another part that's very important about writing is sharing your work. We know the standard: Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. But I want to talk about sharing each other's works. So if you have a friend who you write an article and you have a friend, have him share your article on his own platform, because we all have different networks, and that way we get to expand our own individual networks through the help of others. So we use basically our sphere of influence. I also want to talk about collaboration. Now, collaboration is important. Some months ago, the Lagos state government was going to issue a licensing fee for new ride-hailing services in Lagos. So like Max.ng, I believe, and O-Ride. And a friend of mine, brought my attention to this and was okay, let's write an article real quickly about this. And in basically 10 hours, we had this article set up. He wrote the first 2 paragraphs. I went in and completed the article. And that was very important because it gave us time it saved both of our times. We wrote the article very quickly in a short period of time. And we had the opportunity to look over each other's work. And this is important because when 2 people write something, it's better that you make better arguments, because both of you can look at your work and say, okay, no, this is terrible, this is fine. No, you can talk about it more and before you present it to the outside world. And another thing is that it fosters camaraderie among those fighting for a free society. In general, the societies we come from, like Nigeria and in some other African countries, tend to be unfree with respect to the fact that government always intervenes in the lives and the properties and liberties of its citizens. And this could be a lonely battle. So you don't want to feel like you're struggling alone. When you have somebody who you write with, when you have somebody who you talk to, when you have somebody who you discuss these issues with, it helps you and it keeps the fire burning. Also, an important part that I wanted to address is when you get comments. Comments are important. They help you gauge how people are receiving your work. Truthfully, most people don't comment. That's a fact. I can count how many times I've commented on any article. But when someone does comment, that means they probably do feel strongly about what you're writing. If they ask you a very short question, I think you should respond. Just give a short, brief answer. But some people take to the comment boxes and write those long disquisitions about what you're trying to say. In that case, and some people, in that case, you don't necessarily need to reply in the comment box, especially if your reply is going to be more than 2 paragraphs. Now, you could take that and turn that into another article and publish that and make reference and refer that person who asked that question in the comment box to that article. Or you could refer them to an article you wrote in the past that addresses their questions. But do not engage in dogfights in comment boxes. Don't say hurtful things. Don't say things that you would regret in the future. It doesn't matter even if the person is rude. If someone comments something rude, just delete the comment and go on. Another thing is that not everyone will agree with you, and that's facts. Not everyone would agree with you, and that's okay. You don't have to respond to everybody. If somebody's basically negating your argument, now you could use that to make your argument stronger. You could take that and learn from it. If somebody's just blatantly being rude and insulting you, you could delete the comments because it's your article and you have the power to do that. Or you could basically leave it there if you want. It's just something to take note of. So now you've written your article, you're ready to publish, your theory is strong, and you can submit your work to Nigeria Police. All you have to do is to get a Medium account and get a handle and basically send it to us. Now you can reach us on this mail at the Challenge Institute. Or you could just go to Medium and publish your stuff and make money off it. You could join Medium for free and publish your work, and if people read your stuff, you can make money off it. That's really helpful. And that's all I have for today. Does anyone have questions? If you do have a question, you can raise your hand and I will unmute you, I believe.